Joining me on the line right now, we have a man who's going to be facing the FIP World Heavyweight Champion on October 2nd for Tier 1 Wrestling. Gran Akuma, how are you doing, man? There's a lot into this. I'm kind of really intrigued to get your thoughts on what Caleb Konley said about you in a recent promo he put online.
Well, first off, I'm fantastic. To be honest, this might surprise some people, but I actually think Caleb Konley made some good points. Wrestling is kind of a "what have you done for me lately" thing, and like head and shoulders, Caleb Konley is higher on the totem pole with me right now. So I'm going into this match really looking like I feel like I have to prove myself all over again, and this is an opportunity for me to do that because I think he's one of the very best unsigned guys there are. So, like, I don't like a lot of people like they'll talk to me and they'll be like, "Oh, well, don't you feel like you deserve to be in this promotion or deserve to be in that promotion?" And I don't think anybody deserves anything. I think you have a spot as long as you can produce. So this is my chance to show that I can still produce.
The intriguing part is that he is the current FIP heavyweight champion. You were former heritage champion, and I mean I totally get where you're coming from, but it does seem that he should show a little bit of respect in terms of wrestling is, as you said, what have you done for me lately? But he's still kind of getting his name out there. He's definitely one of those top talents that people should be keeping their eye on. And I'm really happy that Tier 1 put this match together. Did you have any thoughts like that he would be the next opponent after your win at the last show?
To be honest, I wasn't sure what to expect after the last show. I very much enjoyed my match with Sonny Kiss, and I think it was a match that surprised a lot of people. Several people, including management at Tier 1, have told me that that's done a lot to kind of put Sonny Kiss on the map. And so I'm certainly proud of that match. But to be honest, I really didn't know what to expect because I always feel like I said, it's you're constantly proving yourself. And especially when you've been around as long as I have, people always want to put you out to pasture. They want to think of, like, if you've been around that long, you can't possibly have much left in the tank. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect because I went from I originally had a different opponent. I went to a very, very different opponent when I ended up in the match with Sonny Kiss. So
Right.
you really, really don't know what Tier 1's going to throw at you. But
What do you think about that when it comes to fans and promotions? I follow you on Twitter, and I really enjoy your tweets, especially during Raw or Impact, when you're talking about giving your thoughts out there. And they're very candid, and I always appreciate that insight. We've seen the Dudley Boys recently return to WWE, and you're talking about, promotions or new wrestlers always like say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to put these quote unquote vets out to pasture." I mean, how do you feel about that? I don't know how I feel about younger wrestlers saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the new kid on the block," and these old guys, they quote unquote old, they don't matter.
to be honest, I'm kind of into it. I think wrestlers to get anywhere need to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and everybody that got anywhere got there by knocking someone else down. Like, everybody tries to hold on to a spot for as long as they can, and then the next generation comes along, and eventually they take that from them. And it's an endless cycle. So, like, guys that are those quote-unquote veterans that are on top or they're at a certain level, like, they got there by knocking out the people that were there before them. So this is just a cycle of wrestling going on and on and on.
That is true. It's something that we've seen many, many times. You do a lot of other promotions as well, as you talked about the last time you were on the show. You take select bookings, and you really only work with select groups. What do you have going on with Excellence Pro Wrestling right now?
Actually, I'm kind of on a high at Excellence right now. Excellence just had its biggest show to date. Tessa Blanchard and Ricochet came in for a show called Tiramisu, and it was the biggest crowd Excellence has grown. I think top to bottom the best show Excellence has had, and I think it's like people are finally starting to take a look at Excellence because of they wanted to see Ricochet's match. Ricochet wrestled. If people aren't familiar with Smiley of House of Glory, they should be, but Smiley and Ricochet had just an incredible main event, like a show that could stand on any PWG card, any Ring of Honor card, any WWN Live card. Like, they just had a stellar, stellar main event, and it was not a one-match show at all. So I think that match drew a lot of people to Excellence, and I think people are finally starting to take notice that something special is starting to grow there.
Okay, I mean, maybe I'm just mistaken, but I believe you're on the poster for the next show. So
that,
Okay,
right?
but that's hey, it's wrestling. It happens. But okay, no, that it's always kind of intriguing to get that insight in terms of what's going on. And like you said, with Tier 1, you don't really know what they're going to throw at you. But I do believe that you had the match with Sunny Kiss. It was a win, and no, I know from talking with management that they want that progression. They want the wins to matter as they should. So if you do get that win over Caleb Konley, are you looking at the Tier 1 championship?
Oh, absolutely. Wrestling people like in wrestling like really get way too personal about things. Like I'm a wrestling purist. I'm about winning wrestling matches and winning championships. I think that's what wrestling should be about. So that's like not only that, but also like right now, Caleb Konley is a world champion in what I think is a pretty big independent company in FIP. So there's kind of like obviously I'm trying to move up the ladder in tier one, but I've been in FIP on and off, and I wouldn't mind going down to FIP and challenging for that title as well.
Oh, for sure. That no, the FIP, they have their standing in professional wrestling. So yeah, and it's their bigger show. So if you get a win over their champion in a non-title match, you should be in that consideration. So, and obviously that's something that they have. Tier 1, they do have their shows on WN Live. FIP does as well. So obviously, I'm assuming that at some point FIP and Tier 1 have probably talked, particularly since Caleb Conley did kind of show up. He cut that promo on you, and he has the FIP title right there. For anyone who hasn't seen it, go check it out. You can either look up tier1wrestling.org or go out and look for Tier 1 Wrestling on Facebook, and it's right there. Just kind of a couple thoughts on that. When he's calling you out, essentially. Do you think that if you do get that win over him, and you mentioned possibly challenging him for that title later on down the line, when if you get that win, would you prefer it to be just like one of those, I don't know how to put this, but it's like you want a straight up wrestling match, none of those gimmicks. As you said, you're kind of a purist. And it seems like gimmick matches right now for title matches seems to be, I don't want to say a craze because it's it's a natural progression in wrestling, but you know what I mean? Where it's like guys are like, okay, if we're gonna have a world title match, why don't we have some stipulation to go with it?
Oh, definitely. I'm like you said, I'm a wrestling purist. I think wrestlers should have wrestling matches. I'm not certainly not interested in hanging anything on a pole. But but
Right.
no, and the thing is, like, Caleb Conley isn't just smoke and mirrors either. Caleb Conley is a very, very, very good wrestler. Like, there are a few wrestlers that I've, for a long time wanted to wrestle and haven't. Like, the list is getting kind of whittled down. I'm running out of dream opponents. But Caleb Conley is definitely on that list. I kind of appreciate the attitude. I think respect is earned and not given. And on October 2nd, I'm looking to earn Caleb Conley's respect and maybe a little bit more.
Of course, and as always, the champion Luke Cox, he is facing Tim Donst on that night, and hey, there's always a chance Tim Donst could win the Tier 1 championship. I'm assuming you've seen a lot of footage of Tim Donst. Would if you get another win in Tier 1, I think it would be hard for some people to deny, hey, you should be in that picture. And I'm sure you've seen it online. Kind of Donst returning from cancer. It's been I think personally an inspirational story, particularly for anyone who has had to face a hardship like that. And since I'm assuming you have crossed paths with Tim Dotz at some point, what do you think that means to him getting a title shot?
Oh, I like I said, I've known Tim Donst for a long time. I understand how passionate he is about wrestling. Like his passion is what got him through that. His passion for wrestling specifically. So, like, I definitely know. Like, Donst doesn't take a day off. Donst never doesn't come in with his A game. So, I'm looking forward to seeing that match. Just at the fan in me. I'm kind of outspoken about the fact that I didn't stop being a wrestling fan when I became a wrestler. But but no, I think like Donst is all passion, and I think his passion very well could lead him to the Tier 1 championship.
It's an intriguing show, and of course, it all goes down October 2nd. Rumble in the Concrete Jungle. Akuma, as always, we appreciate getting your thoughts on it. And as always, we like to give you some time to plug stuff away. So social media, some upcoming dates as well.
Well, I am now officially Facebookless. The Facebook gremlins have eaten my Facebook, so
I heard about that. That's kind of...
well, no, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't miss Facebook, so I'm not fighting the Facebook gremlins. I've given up on that. So the one stop shop to find me now on social media is Twitter. It is __. That's 2 underscores. Akuma is the place to find me. You can find out about pretty much everything I've got going on, but I have a very full fall coming up. As we mentioned, I have Tier 1 in the beginning of October. The week after that, I have Excellence, which we've also talked about. October 24th, I will be competing in On Point Wrestling's Masters of the Mat tournament. Originally, and that they full disclosure about this, originally they planned on having a deathmatch tournament, and then everyone and their mother had a deathmatch tournament, and they didn't want to be branded as a deathmatch company. To kind of pull back the curtain a bit, before the last show, Matt Tremont went in front of the locker room and said, "I am not here to be the face of anything. I am a side attraction. We're not a deathmatch company. We're a wrestling company that also does death matches." So On Point Management made a decision that they were going to put wrestling in the forefront and have a pure wrestling tournament. So I will be competing in that on October 24th. On October 25th, also in New Jersey, I will be taking part in an Alzheimer's benefit show. So that's my wife specifically lost her grandfather to Alzheimer's, so that's a charity that hits home. I always jump at the chance to, if I can do something to help somebody out with a charity show or something, I always try to, but this is one that kind of hits home with my wife and I, so we're excited to be a part of that. And then at the end of October, on a Halloween, I'll be at ISW challenging for the other title, where I'll be facing Fluffy. And one last quick thing I want to get in. I'm going to skip to the end of November here. Once a year in Connecticut, there's a show called Wrestle Jam. They only run one show a year, and it's basically just like an indie dream match show, basically. And it's always a good time. It's always a show I look forward to. This year, I will be reuniting with Icarus for one night, teaming alongside Dasher Hatfield in a trios match against Brian Fury, and he is putting 2 wrestlers together for the annual Chikara versus New England trios match. So some old school Chikara fans have kind of reached out to me, and they're very excited about that. So that's something I wanted to throw out there as well. You can find, if you go onto my Twitter, I plug my stuff all the time, so you can find information about all that stuff.
Awesome stuff, Akuma. And hey, tell those people with the charity coming up to send us some information at PWP. We'll gladly put it up on the website. And I like what Tremont's doing with On Point. A lot of people do kind of assume, oh, it's Tremont Run, it's just death matches and stuff. It's like, no, check out the trailers they put up on YouTube, guys. It's a lot more than just that. So
I respected that Tremont would come out and say, like, when someone's in a position like that where they have a lot of pull in a company or it's their company, a lot of times it's like they center it around themselves. So props to Matt Tremont for bucking the trend there and doing what he thinks is good for the company rather than what's good for him.
Exactly. As always, Akuma, a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks again.
Thank you.